From blue sheets and stirrups, I was born in a hospital bed. First mother's arms, then car seat, then cradle. I slept across the room from my father in a bassinet that was once his, until the kitchen sink was too small to bathe in. Then, in my baby bed, I lay between the same oak brown bars that had once kept my brother and sister in. That baby bed mattress outlived its wooden frame and carried itself, like many things in my life, into its next wooden home. My toddler bed stood as a wooden-legged stepping stone between infantry and childhood, when I could put my own feet on the floor in the morning, but I couldn't quite turn the light switch off for myself. When I was 4, I had my first big girl bed. I laid such pride in that 4-poster twin, white paint chipping off the ends, with my Winnie the Pooh blanket and imaginary friends. And when I couldn't sleep, and the before-bed thoughts were closing in, I would pull out my flashlight from under the bed and tiptoe downstairs into my parents' room. Sandwiched between mother and father, their bed was the warmest. Years later, I still slept in that white twin, but had traded my Winnie the Pooh comforter for a simple blue and green pattern. The bed followed me, like many things in my life, into the slightly larger room that was once my sister's. I came to this bed when I found out my parents wouldn't be sharing a bed anymore. Between nights of sleeping in a series of rundown apartments with my father, I would always come back to my twin mattress mother's. On those nights with Dad, I had a place to rest in my uncle's house, then a one-room apartment's pull-out couch, until finally my own bed again. This bed shed its box springboard many times, going from place to place, until we settled down in that third-floor apartment. The windows looked out just above the trees, and I would come home to see my father on the balcony taking a long and loving drag from his cigarette. He played guitar for hours, taught me chords as my fingers slowly grew calloused, and we would sing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band as we washed the dishes once again. Sometimes I hid razors under my mattress. I was convinced that the blood-stained sheets would make me different from what I was, or what I thought I always would be. All of a sudden, my bed was different. A bed with attached pillows and thin white blankets, of which I stole from my roommate when she was discharged. I guess the before-bed thoughts caught up with me. I would fall asleep with the nurse watching me. I guess it's better than being dead. When I came home, I had never felt a softer bed. 2 years hospital-free, and I was down to 2 blankets when I used to sleep with 4. No longer shivering quietly under the covers. In fact, sometimes I would still crawl in bed with my mother, praying to whomever it may concern, thanking them for parents who love me. I had finally reached a homeostasis between homes when I realized that someone else's pain could hurt worse than my own. Suddenly, my father was in a hospital bed. He was tossed into the situation like white sheets into a linen basket as the nurse changed his bedding. I had lots of little scars, but he had one big scar, as an 11-inch incision stretched across his chest. It was in these moments that I would rest in the chairs across the room looking at him through IV bags as if they could make me see more clearly. I was no longer the sick one in my family. We put a bed for him in my brother's old room, large with tan blankets. I would lay next to him waiting for the medicine to kick in, and on one of those mini trips from kitchen to Dad's room to kitchen again, I would choose from an army of little orange bottles of wake up in midday and just before bed, and bring him his before you eat food medicine. My mother took him in because she became some kind of combination of ex-wife and best friend. That kind of love that goes with you to every chemotherapy appointment just to be there and hold your hand. As his primary caregiver, she cooked all the meals he couldn't finish and washed all the clothes he couldn't fit. When they said 10 days, they put a hospital bed in our family room. The kind of bed you'd only expect to see in a room that smelled of bandages and antiseptic. But there it was, like a fish out of water, mixed in with all the couches and quilts. All of a sudden, my bed was different. I was back in that baby bed, after he had just tucked me in, and I was crying and crying, hoping that he would hear me and come back. But those oak brown bars kept my brother and sister and I in.